Today, OVR is going to do a special video on concealment. Concealed carry is sort of one of the founding pillars that OVR was founded on, because there's a lot of people out there that are carrying every day, and they don't, one, know how to carry properly, and two, they don't know how to shoot from a concealed carry properly, meaning they can't get to the weapon in a reasonable amount of time safely. I mean, certainly you can rush and you can grab by any weapon, but you want to be able to do it safely, and then you want to be able to do it accurately at the same time. So in regards to this, I want to go over really three key spots on where you carry. At the same time, on where you carry, I want to go over goods and bads with those and have you in different positions. So what I mean by that is we're going to go over appendix carry, dominant and non-dominant side, but we're also going to go over dominant side behind you on carrying. And I'm going to pull out a chair. We're going to sit down. And I'm going to show you which ones are better for sitting, which ones are better for standing. So a lot of it has to do with how you carry and what you do on a regular basis. If you're always in your car, it may be better to carry it where you can get to it quicker from your vehicle from a sitting position. If you're in a standing position all the time because of where you work, then you may want to have it in a different position. Same thing for the clothing that you wear and the type of weapon that you carry. So that's where OVR is really helpful. Is not only can you practice where you carry that weapon, you can actually practice getting to it quickly, efficiently, and then accurately putting that round down range. And that's where people make the mistake. You can dry fire all day long on getting to that weapon at home, dry fire safely, pull your weapon, but are you actually getting it on target? And are you accurately getting it on target? And that's where OVR comes into play to have you do that. So even though we're talking about concealed carry, I'm purposely not concealing it with my shirt, just for you to be able to see for this video and kind of get an idea which one would maybe work for you better and allow you to come into OVR and kind of put it in these different positions. And I can tell you, I've actually changed my philosophy just a little bit, because for the longest time, this is actually where I carried mine. And now I'm kind of changing that a little bit because my job has changed and I'm standing more. So, that being said, this is non-dominant appendix side. Because of where this is easier to get to because you can just lift your shirt up and you're right here on target. So for speed, probably the best way. Same thing for if you're in a sitting position. And I'll pull a chair out here in just a second and show you this from a sitting position. It's a lot easier, a lot faster to get to. The downfall is a couple of things. One, if you're getting older like me and you're starting to get a little bit of a belly to you that you're not used to, or if you already have a big belly hanging over, and we know what America's like, there's a lot of obesity, the belly hangs over and it gets in the way and you can't get to your weapon. You can't get to it, it's not useful for you. So, with this, it does make it a lot easier to grab it, get a hold of it, and draw that weapon out. The downfall to this is where that sits. If you have to sit down or bend over, it does dig in on you a little bit, and that barrel is driving right into your femur and basically right into a major artery, major nerve right here that can cause you other problems. So you have to be really careful if you're doing this and you're doing a lot of squatting or a lot of bending, because that can get in your way. So another way to carry on the front is do it on your dominant side. This is actually a little bit probably more comfortable in that if you're used to drawing from an overt holster, this kind of mimics that a little bit closer because it's just sort of to the front versus to the side. So you just have to get your shirt out of the way to get into here. The problem, again, that you run into with this, same thing on the non-dominant side. If you have a big belly, it's going to get in your way and you're going to fumble with it, and you're not going to be able to get your thumb behind here to draw this weapon accurately. You still have the same problem of where the barrel is pointing into that nerve and artery area, and you're still having the same problem with squatting and bending, and so that could be a problem. But for speed, it's probably a little bit faster, and certainly from a sitting position, it's a little bit faster. So another technique to carry is going to be on your dominant side, and you can have it sort of behind you. It doesn't have to be all the way like in the small of your back, but it's sort of behind into your dominant side some. To me, this is starting to be a little bit more comfortable for me because I do a lot of standing, and so to carry that, it's just easier to do it. And from a drawing standpoint, it mimics drawing from an overt holster a little bit closer because it's just sort of behind there. The two major downfalls for me on this, one, is trying to get a shirt up and out of the way. And I'll turn around here and you can see exactly where this is on me. So if I have to get a shirt out of the way to get to this, I can't use my other arm really to do it. It's all one-handed to draw it. And the other problem I have with this is, having had multiple shoulder injuries and surgery and stuff, it's really sometimes tough for me to get my hand all the way around, and I'll do it from the side here, to get my hand all the way around to get a hold of that. And here's a rear shot kind of showing the same thing. But one thing this does account for is if you have a big belly, it gets that out of the way. You're not going to really have that interfere by having this in the back here. So it does make it a little bit easier to carry for you if you have a bigger belly. But from a sitting position, you're not really going to be able to get to the weapon from a sitting. In order to do it, you have to really lean out of the way. And again, I'm going to pull a chair out, show each of these techniques here in just a second. So from a sitting position, you can see where you can't really feel or see the weapon on the front. I have this on my back side right now, on my dominant side. But to try and get to it, it's very awkward to lean around enough to get to that. And especially if I'm in a car where I've got a seat on, a door on this side and a console on this side. And from a side view, you can see on the side view, trying to lean back and get this, you can see the weapon rubs on the chair here. So, if I'm at a conference or something where I have this, it could easily catch, and it's going to make it hard for me to get to this. So from a sitting position here, you can see where the weapon's on my front side. It makes it extremely easy. Again, unless I have a large belly hanging over, this makes it really easy. So even from a sitting position, if I have a console or a door here, I can still get to the weapon relatively easy to get it out. From the front view, you can see where the weapon is here. Again, it kind of rides a lot of this, again, has to do with your body habitus. Again, if you're a larger person with a larger belly, it's going to make it different. If you like to carry a large gun, it's going to be a little bit harder to do this. But if you're carrying a smaller, 9mm compact, subcompact, regardless of the brand, it's going to be a little bit easier to do this. And it's going to make it easy to get to it no matter what position you're in, because you can immediately draw with your hands in whatever position. You can get to it quick enough to get it on target. So what's the bottom line on this whole video? Well, the bottom line is there's no one way to carry. And even at that, there's no one way for that person to carry. You can't say, I only ever carry here in the appendix area. The situation may call for you to change how you carry. And so you need to practice those things. Without practice, it's not very helpful. Again, speed by itself isn't enough. It has to be speed, it has to be efficient, it has to be accurate. So I'm actually going to run through a couple of drills here with this, and you're going to kind of see my personal speed depending on where I have it positioned, and then see my accuracy as well. I'll be able to explain that. So that's the advantage again of OVR, is I want you to come in here, I want you to practice these. If you carry in a purse, if you carry in a satchel, or fanny pack, whatever you want to call it, backpack, you got to be able to get to that, and you got to be able to get to that quickly, efficiently, and then draw it and fire it accurately. So in order to do that, we want you to come in here. And while we don't want any live ammo here at all, we have our own weapons that we use with the lasers. You are welcome to bring your own purse, your own satchel, your own fanny pack in, and let's practice having you get to those and see what your accuracy is like and how long it actually takes you to give you that idea. You want to be realistic. You can't say, oh yeah, in a half a second I can have my weapon out and shoot that guy. Unless you test it, you don't know the answer to that. And so come in, let's test it out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the pistol in each of the key positions that we just talked about, dominant, non-dominant, and then in your backside. And once I go through those, I'm going to set the timer on the screen. As the timer beeps, then I'll be able to draw. I'm going to take 2 shots. That's just standard of what I do, just to see what it is. And then I'll take a screenshot to kind of give you an idea of what that accuracy, what the screen time is. And just so we can compare my speed on the different positions on how that is. Again, this is me against me. You come in here, you could be a lot faster than me, you could be a lot slower. That doesn't matter. You're only competing against yourself in this situation. And then should this be in a life or death type situation, you're competing against the person you're going against. And the more you practice, the faster, smoother you are, the more chance you have of being the winner. Drawing from the dominant side, you can see overall accuracy is pretty good, both within the A, and my timing
is a 1.65 on my initial shot, a 1.86 total between the two. Moving to the non-dominant side, there really isn't any difference. My shots are about the same in the A and about the same grouping. My time is at 1.7 and 1.9 total. So, I'm not even a tenth of a second off between the two. Drawing from behind, my accuracy is almost exactly the same. All three areas, the shot pattern is almost identical to each other as far as the grouping and the location in the A. But as you can see, I'm about a quarter of a second slower drawing from behind. That doesn't seem like a lot, but it certainly could be the difference between life and death.
So the final comment to make on this is, yes, when I did these, I didn't have my shirt over it. So you can add half to maybe a full second. I do that drill enough here on my own that I can tell you exactly what it is for me. And it does depend on the clothes that I'm wearing. So if I'm wearing just a thin t-shirt, I can get to it a lot faster. If I'm wearing a thicker, sweater or something because it's a little colder out, it's going to take me a little bit more time to do it. And so again, I might have to add almost a second to either of the front sides, but when I've got it to the back, I've really got to add almost 2 seconds, and that's not a lie, to be able to get around, get to that, and get that weapon out. Sport coat, same thing. I'd only need to add about a second to get to it with the sport coat because I can fling the sport coat out of the way and get to it quickly and easily. So, again, come on into OVR. Let's see what your speed is. And it's great to do that the first time, kind of get a comparison. Once you get that comparison, come in several times and train and reassess yourself after 4 or 5 or 6 weeks and kind of see where you're at.